I have so many memories of Conway. I just can't pick one out. Conway is one of the greatest singers I ever heard. And I haven't heard anybody sing like Conway Twitty.
For years, something about Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn just didn't sit like a regular music partnership. Every time both voices came together, there was this spark that felt a little too real, almost like something deeper was hiding in plain sight. Fans noticed it, critics talked about it, and the whispers never really stopped. The rumors grew with every performance, and the silence from both sides only made things more intense. But now, after all these years, a shocking reveal from Loretta Lynn's daughter is finally putting everything into perspective. Stay close, because this gets deeper than anyone expected. Loretta Lynn's daughter reveals what really happened with Conway Twitty. Setting the record straight came with a quiet kind of weight after the passing of Loretta Lynn in 2022. A daughter carried memories that had lived in private spaces for years, memories shaped by long tours, late-night conversations, and a partnership that the public never fully understood. A decision formed over time, not rushed, not forced. A decision to speak carefully, to share truth without feeding gossip. What kind of bond lasts that long without being clearly defined? What kind of connection survives fame, pressure, and constant public attention without breaking or turning into something messy? Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn built something rare in an industry known for fast connections and even faster fallouts. Public eyes often searched for drama, for hidden romance, for something scandalous. That search never stopped. Rumors floated around for years, whispered in interviews, hinted at in tabloids, passed along in quiet conversations behind closed doors. Still, Loretta Lynn stayed consistent. Words never changed. A bond described as deep, loyal, and entirely platonic remained the only version ever shared openly. A statement once made by Loretta Lynn stayed with many people. Conway Twitty, described as a brother, a partner in music, a steady presence during a demanding career. That kind of statement carried weight. Not a casual comment, not a quick answer to dismiss questions, but a clear reflection of how Loretta Lynn chose to define that connection. A question naturally followed. Why would such strong language exist if something romantic had been hidden? Would secrecy not create distance instead of warmth? Would tension not show through in performances or interviews? Behind the scenes, a different layer of that relationship unfolded, far away from microphones and cameras. Long bus rides, endless touring schedules, crowded venues, and quiet hotel rooms formed the backdrop of daily life. Conway Twitty brought a sense of calm into that environment. Not loud, not attention-seeking, not reckless in behavior. A steady presence, someone who understood discipline in a world that often rewarded chaos. That kind of personality stood out, especially during an era where many performers chased excess. Loretta Lynn noticed that difference early. Respect grew from consistency. Trust built slowly through shared experiences. Nights filled with conversation, laughter, and reflection created something stronger than surface-level friendship. Fame often isolates people. Crowds surround performers, yet genuine connection becomes rare. In that environment, finding someone who listens, understands, and respects boundaries holds real value. How often does that kind of connection appear in such a demanding space? A daughter later recalled how Loretta Lynn spoke about Conway Twitty in private moments. Not with excitement or secrecy, but with calm respect. Sometimes even tenderness slipped into those conversations. Not the kind of tenderness tied to romance, but something deeper, something rooted in appreciation and emotional safety. Conway Twitty treated Loretta Lynn as an equal, not as competition, not as an accessory to success, but as a partner with equal voice and presence. That kind of respect carried weight, especially during a time when female artists often faced limitations. Music created a bridge between both figures, but that bridge extended beyond performance. Duets required trust. Timing, harmony, and emotional delivery depended on understanding another person completely. Audiences felt that connection without needing explanation. Songs carried emotion that felt real, not forced, not staged. That authenticity led many to assume something romantic existed behind the scenes. A fair assumption on the surface. Still, reality often refuses to follow expectations. Conway Twitty, in later reflections, offered words that added another layer to that connection. Words that hinted at depth without confirming rumors. Statements that suggested admiration, respect, and something difficult to describe in simple terms. Listeners often wondered what remained unsaid. Was silence protecting something fragile? Or was silence simply preserving something that did not need explanation? A pattern appeared over the years. Questions asked again and again. Answers remained steady. No contradictions, no slips, no accidental revelations. That level of consistency raises another question. Would a hidden romance survive decades without cracks appearing? Would emotions stay contained under constant pressure from media attention and public curiosity? Loretta Lynn chose protection over explanation. Not protection from truth, but protection of meaning. Some connections lose value when forced into categories: friendship, love, partnership, loyalty. Labels often simplify something that feels complex. Reducing a deep emotional bond into a single word can strip away nuance. Loretta Lynn seemed to understand that clearly. No need to explain every detail. No need to satisfy every question. Silence, in this case, did not signal secrecy. Silence signaled intention. A choice to keep something meaningful untouched by outside interpretation. That kind of choice requires confidence. Confidence in personal truth. Confidence in shared understanding. Confidence that explanation would not improve anything. A daughter eventually stepped forward, not to rewrite history, but to clarify what had always been present. No hidden romance, no secret affair, no dramatic reveal waiting behind closed doors. Instead, a story of loyalty, mutual respect, and emotional connection that did not rely on romance to feel powerful. That kind of truth may feel less sensational, but often carries more depth. Looking at that relationship through a wider lens reveals something rare. Two people navigating fame without losing grounding. Two people supporting each other without crossing boundaries. Two people building trust in an environment that often breaks trust apart. How often does that happen in any industry, let alone one filled with pressure and constant attention? The idea of love often gets narrowed down to romance. Society tends to prioritize romantic connection above all else. Yet, other forms of love exist: deep friendship, emotional safety, loyalty, shared purpose. These forms often last longer, remain more stable, and avoid complications that romance sometimes introduces. Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn seemed to exist comfortably within that space. Respect formed the foundation, not just professional respect, but personal respect that shaped every interaction. No competition, no hidden tension, no need to outshine one another. Success shared rather than guarded. That kind of dynamic rarely stays hidden. Audiences sensed authenticity, even without knowing details. A lasting question remains. Would public understanding have improved if explanations came earlier? Or would public curiosity simply shift into new assumptions? Sometimes clarity does not end speculation. Sometimes clarity invites more questions. Loretta Lynn appeared to understand that cycle and chose to step outside of it. Time often reveals truth in quiet ways. Not through dramatic announcements, but through consistent behavior, steady words, and reflections from those closest to the situation. A daughter speaking years later adds perspective, but does not rewrite the foundation already built. What remains is a reminder that not every meaningful connection fits into expected categories. Not every powerful bond needs a romantic label. Some relationships exist in a space that feels complete without explanation. A space built on trust, respect, and shared experience. In the end, the spotlight fades, rumors fade, public curiosity fades. What stays behind? Memories, respect, and the impact left on music and personal lives. Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn created something that lasted beyond fame, beyond speculation, beyond labels. Something quiet, steady, and deeply human. And maybe that raises the simplest question of all. Does every meaningful connection need to be explained to be understood? The musical magic between Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn. Work together between Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn began in a way that almost felt accidental, yet somehow inevitable. Introduction came through Owen Bradley, a producer already shaping the sound of country music at that time. Separate recording sessions had been scheduled, nothing unusual at first glance, just another day in a busy studio environment. Yet something about that moment created a quiet turning point. Bradley had already guided Twitty through several successful songs, building a strong working relationship based on trust and results. A thought began to form. What if two strong voices could meet in one space and create something entirely different? Early reactions from surrounding teams did not lean toward excitement. Resistance surfaced almost immediately. Industry minds questioned the idea. Would two established names blend well, or would identities clash? Would audiences accept such a pairing, or reject something unfamiliar? Doubts grew louder, creating a wall around the idea before any real attempt could even take place. Twitty reportedly expressed confidence despite that noise, suggesting the concept felt right on a deeper level. Logic pointed toward potential success, yet logic alone rarely wins over cautious industry thinking. Standing firm required a certain level of belief, especially when pushback came from nearly every direction. Loretta Lynn's side of the conversation carried similar tension. Decisions in that camp involved not just artistic instinct, but also personal trust, especially with strong influence from husband Oliver Lynn, often called Mooney or Doolittle. Agreement did not arrive instantly. Conversations likely circled around risks, image, and long-term impact. Still, a moment arrived when hesitation gave way to determination. A clear decision emerged that the collaboration would move forward regardless of resistance. That shift alone said a lot. When two artists decide to move ahead despite pressure, something deeper than convenience usually drives that choice. Momentum truly began to build when a song entered the picture at exactly the right time. Discovery of Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man happened during a tour, almost like finding a missing puzzle piece in the middle of a journey. Oliver Lynn reportedly recognized something special immediately. Words like, "This sounds like a hit," carried weight, especially coming from someone closely involved in decisions. Bringing that song into the studio created a moment of alignment. Agreement came quickly from both Twitty and Lynn. Recording followed without hesitation. Sometimes success begins with a single shared instinct. Could that moment have been predicted earlier? Or did timing play the biggest role? From that point, results began to speak louder than any earlier doubts. After the Fire Is Gone marked a major breakthrough, reaching #1 and setting a powerful tone for what followed. Success did not stop there. A pattern started to form. Another hit, then another, then another. 5 #1 singles between 1971 and 1975 created a streak that demanded attention. 7 additional songs reached the top 10, building a catalog that felt both consistent and impressive. Numbers alone told part of the story, yet something more subtle seemed to be happening beneath those achievements. Album success mirrored that momentum. 4 albums reached the top position, while several others secured places within the top 10. 10 studio albums released together reflected not just popularity, but also sustained creative partnership. Maintaining that level of output required more than coincidence. Consistency suggested strong chemistry, mutual understanding, and a shared sense of direction. Without those elements, longevity becomes difficult. How often do collaborations last that long while still producing meaningful results? Recognition followed naturally. Winning Vocal Duo of the Year at the Country Music Association for 4 consecutive years highlighted the impact of that partnership. Awards often reflect both industry respect and audience approval. Adding a Grammy Awards win for Best Country Performance by a duo or group with vocal further cemented that status. Such recognition rarely comes without a clear reason. Something about that pairing stood out in a crowded field of talented performers. Attention then turns to the sound itself. What exactly made that combination work so well? Each voice carried distinct qualities. Twitty brought a smooth, rich tone with emotional depth. Lynn delivered a sharp, expressive style that could cut through a melody while still feeling warm and relatable. Separately, both voices already held strong appeal. Together, a different dimension appeared. Harmony did not feel forced or overly polished. Instead, a natural blend emerged, almost like 2 pieces designed to fit without adjustment. Listeners often described that blend as electric. A sense of conversation flowed through the music. Lines passed back and forth, creating a dynamic that felt alive rather than static. Songs did not just present lyrics. Songs felt like exchanges, almost like listening in on a dialogue filled with humor, tension, affection, and occasional conflict. That quality made performances engaging on a deeper level. Music became more than sound. Music became interaction. Stage presence added another layer. Performances carried a sense of ease, yet also unpredictability. Lighthearted banter could shift into emotional storytelling within moments. Audiences responded strongly to that balance. Laughter might appear in one moment, followed by a quiet pause in the next. That range created a connection that felt real rather than rehearsed. Could such chemistry be taught? Or does something like that simply exist between certain people? Public perception soon followed its own path. Repeated exposure to that chemistry led many to assume a romantic connection existed beyond the stage. Questions began to surface. Were these two just performing, or was something more happening behind the scenes? Speculation grew as each new hit reinforced that image. Songs often explored themes of love, tension, and reconciliation, further blurring lines between performance and reality. Yet assumptions did not necessarily reflect truth. Sometimes strong artistic connection alone can create that illusion. Sustaining such a partnership over time required balance. Individual careers still mattered. Personal lives continued outside the spotlight. Managing both aspects without letting one overshadow the other likely demanded careful decisions. Ending the collaboration in 1981 marked the close of a significant chapter. 10 years of consistent success left a lasting impression on country music history. Not every partnership ends at the right moment, yet timing here seemed intentional. Looking back, early resistance almost feels surprising. Initial doubts suggested risk, yet outcome showed clear reward. What would have happened if those early objections had succeeded in stopping the collaboration? Would country music have missed one of its most memorable duos? Questions like that highlight how fragile creative decisions can be. One different choice at the beginning could have changed everything. Legacy remains tied not just to numbers or awards, but to feeling. Songs created during that period continue to resonate because of authenticity. Voices blending in a way that feels genuine tends to stand the test of time. Trends may shift, sounds may evolve, yet authenticity holds a certain permanence. That quality often separates memorable collaborations from forgettable ones. Conversation around that partnership still circles back to one simple idea. Two strong individual artists came together and created something neither could fully achieve alone. Not because individual talent lacked strength, but because combination unlocked a different level. That difference made all the impact. And perhaps that raises one final thought. How many potential collaborations never happen because of early doubt or outside resistance? How many successful partnerships remain undiscovered simply because no one pushes past that first wave of hesitation? What started as quiet persistence slowly shifted the entire narrative, reshaping doubt into something unforgettable, and proving that time can turn uncertainty into a powerful story worth remembering. And just when many thought they had figured it all out, new questions kept surfacing. Keep watching till the very end, because the truth behind it all only becomes clearer as the years of speculation about their relationship come into focus. Years of speculation about their relationship. Curiosity never stayed quiet around music that felt too real. Questions kept coming, almost like background noise that refused to fade. After the Fire Is Gone carried a theme that stirred imagination. A tale of two people caught in something complicated, something emotional, something that sounded far too convincing. Listeners leaned in, not just to hear melody, but to decode meaning. Could such emotion come purely from performance, or did something deeper sit behind every line? That question lingered in conversations everywhere. Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty created something powerful together, something that blurred lines between performance and reality. Chemistry on stage did not look rehearsed. Every duet felt like a private conversation shared in public. Eyes met, voices blended, timing felt effortless. Fans watched closely and started connecting dots that may not have existed. When songs kept returning to themes of love, heartbreak, longing, and temptation, assumptions naturally followed. Was imagination running wild, or did art mirror truth in ways that remained unspoken? Whispers turned into full conversations. Conversations turned into firm beliefs. Many people began to say that such connection could not be faked. Some insisted that marriage must exist behind closed doors. Others suggested a secret romance hidden from public view. Stage presence became evidence in the eyes of fans. A glance held too long, a smile that seemed too genuine, a lyric delivered with too much feeling. How could anyone separate performance from reality when everything looked so convincing? Music history often shows that strong duos attract speculation. Audiences enjoy believing in something beyond the stage. A love story sells, even when no official confirmation exists. Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty became a perfect example of that pattern. Each performance added fuel to the fire. Each hit song strengthened belief. Rumors spread faster than facts. And soon enough, a narrative formed without permission from either artist. Entertainment media recognized an opportunity and leaned into the narrative. Headlines began shaping perception. Articles hinted at hidden romance. Interviews sometimes nudged toward personal questions instead of focusing purely on music. Sensational angles attracted attention, and attention brought profit. Was accuracy ever the main goal, or did excitement take priority? That question often hovered quietly in the background. Country music as a genre has always embraced storytelling rooted in real emotion. Songs often reflect life, love, struggle, and redemption. When performers deliver such stories with authenticity, audiences naturally wonder how much truth sits beneath lyrics. Loretta Lynn built a career on honesty, on sharing life experiences through music. Conway Twitty carried a voice that could turn any lyric into something deeply personal. When both talents combined, the result felt almost too genuine to separate from reality. Years passed, but curiosity refused to disappear. Questions followed interviews, followed tours, followed public appearances. Reporters kept asking, fans kept speculating, and conversations never fully settled. Loretta Lynn eventually addressed the situation directly in later years. In a 2016 interview, Loretta Lynn explained that many people believed in a romantic connection simply because of the songs recorded together. Loretta Lynn clarified that friendship defined the relationship, not romance. Loretta Lynn emphasized that connection came from mutual respect and shared artistry, not from any hidden affair. That clarification brought some relief, but did not erase years of speculation. Once an idea takes hold in public imagination, removal becomes difficult. Some fans accepted the explanation immediately. Others continued to hold on to earlier beliefs. Why did such strong resistance exist against a simple truth? Perhaps because the imagined story felt more exciting than reality. Perhaps because audiences had already invested emotionally in a version of events that felt satisfying. Behind the scenes, reality looked very different from public perception. Families remained steady and supportive throughout the years of rumors. Loretta Lynn spoke openly about genuine friendship with Conway Twitty. Loretta Lynn also shared that personal life remained grounded, with strong trust within marriage. Loretta Lynn mentioned that Loretta Lynn's husband, respected Conway Twitty deeply. In fact, Conway Twitty held a unique place within that circle, earning genuine appreciation and trust. Such detail often surprises those who expected tension or conflict. Rumors usually suggest drama, but real life did not follow that script. Instead of jealousy or suspicion, mutual respect defined relationships around both artists. That kind of stability rarely receives attention because calm reality does not attract headlines in the same way as scandal. Conway Twitty's personal life also reflected similar support. Conway Twitty's wives understood the professional partnership and valued the artistic connection. Dolores D. Henry, Conway Twitty's third wife, reportedly admired Loretta Lynn greatly. Temple Mickey Medley, Conway Twitty's second wife, also shared that admiration. Such acceptance challenges the idea that something inappropriate existed. If closest family members saw no issue, why did outside observers remain convinced otherwise? Respect formed the foundation of the partnership. Music came first, always. Both artists approached collaboration with professionalism and dedication. Hours spent recording, rehearsing, and performing built a rhythm that felt natural. That rhythm translated into performances that looked effortless. Audiences witnessed that ease and interpreted such comfort as romantic connection. Could simple compatibility in music really appear that convincing? Evidence suggests yes. Another layer of misunderstanding came from the nature of duet performances. Duets often rely on emotional exchange. Lyrics demand interaction, eye contact, shared expression. Without that connection, songs lose impact. Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty understood that requirement and delivered consistently. Every performance told a story, and storytelling requires commitment. That commitment sometimes blurred perception for those watching. Time continued moving, yet the narrative remained attached to both names. Even decades later, conversations still return to the same question. Was there ever something more? Official statements say no. Family perspectives say no. Direct words from Loretta Lynn say no. Still, fascination persists. Why does such curiosity refuse to fade completely? Perhaps because human nature enjoys mystery. Clear answers sometimes feel less satisfying than unanswered questions. A confirmed friendship might seem ordinary compared to the idea of a hidden love story. Audiences often lean toward narratives that carry emotional weight, even when evidence points elsewhere. Legacy now holds more importance than speculation. Music created by Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty continues to resonate with listeners across generations. Songs remain timeless, filled with feeling, honesty, and depth. That artistic achievement stands independent of any rumor. Yet, conversations about personal connection still appear alongside discussions of music. Separation between art and personal life remains difficult in cases like this. Looking back, the entire situation reflects how easily perception can shape reality in the public eye. A few songs, strong chemistry, and repeated exposure created a narrative that lasted for years. No formal confirmation ever supported that narrative, yet belief grew stronger with time. That pattern raises an interesting thought. How often does public opinion build entire stories from fragments of truth mixed with imagination? Loretta Lynn's words later in life carried a sense of calm certainty. Friendship defined everything, according to Loretta Lynn. Professional respect, shared success, and genuine care formed the bond. No hidden romance, no secret marriage, no private affair. Just two artists who understood each other musically and created something special together. Even with such clarity, the legacy of speculation remains part of the conversation. Not as fact, but as an example of how powerful performance can influence belief. Music has the ability to convince, to make emotions feel real, to create connections that seem personal. Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty mastered that ability, perhaps too well for public imagination to separate art from reality. In the end, one simple idea stands out. Great chemistry does not always mean romance. Sometimes, great chemistry simply means two people working perfectly together, understanding rhythm, tone, and emotion in a way that few others can. That kind of connection deserves recognition on its own, without the need for added drama or speculation. Yet curiosity continues to ask questions, even when answers already exist, pulling attention back into moments that refuse to fade quietly. And that is exactly where things take a deeper turn, as long-held stories around music and memory resurface in unexpected ways. Keep watching till the very end, because what comes next around Loretta Lynn's daughter and Conway Twitty adds a layer that changes how everything is understood. Why their story still matters today. Lessons drawn from the partnership between Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn still feel relevant, even decades later. That collaboration showed something simple but powerful. Balance matters. No single voice should overpower another voice in a true partnership. Both Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn seemed to understand that from the beginning. Each performance carried a sense of shared space. Each song felt like a conversation instead of a competition. Isn't that what makes a duet memorable in the first place? Observers often say the connection worked because of clear boundaries. No confusion, no blurred lines, just pure professionalism. Complementary strengths played a big role. Conway Twitty brought a smooth, controlled style. Loretta Lynn brought boldness and emotional honesty. Put both together, and something special happened. Could that kind of balance exist without mutual understanding? Probably not. Another detail often mentioned involves respect. Real respect, not surface-level politeness. Reports suggest both artists valued each other's input in the studio and on stage. Decisions did not feel one-sided. Creative choices came from shared discussions. That kind of environment allows ideas to grow naturally. Without respect, would creativity even survive in a partnership? That question answers itself. Support systems also mattered more than many might expect. Spouses stood firmly behind the collaboration. That support created stability. No tension from outside, no unnecessary pressure creeping in. A strong personal foundation often strengthens professional efforts. Without trust at home, could such a long-lasting partnership have thrived? Doubtful. Ego management stands out as another lesson. Successful partnerships often require setting pride aside. Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn appeared to focus on the bigger picture rather than individual spotlight. Music came first. Harmony came first. That mindset allowed both voices to shine without overshadowing each other. Isn't that the difference between a good collaboration and a legendary one? Freedom within structure also played a role. Space to experiment kept performances fresh. At the same time, compromise ensured cohesion. Too much control can suffocate creativity, while too much freedom can create chaos. That balance seemed carefully maintained. A delicate line, yet handled with consistency. Years later, influence continues through a new generation. Trey Twitty and Taylor Lynn now perform songs that once defined an era. Names carry weight, but responsibility comes with that weight. In 2022, a debut at the Grand Ole Opry marked a symbolic moment. Standing on the same circle of wood, connected past and present in a powerful way. Isn't that the kind of legacy most artists hope for? Loretta Lynn reportedly expressed joy after watching those performances. Memories resurfaced. Early days, hard work, and rising success all came rushing back. That reaction says a lot about the emotional depth tied to that partnership. In the end, one idea stands above everything else. Strong partnerships rely on balance, respect, and trust. Remove any one element, and cracks begin to show. Keep all three intact, and something timeless can emerge. Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn proved that point without needing to say much at all. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Enjoy more thrilling stories? Click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.